Welcome back, Portugal Junkies.
Hello.
Mark just said, I might sneeze. And I said, honey, that's okay. You can sneeze. He's like, I am a real person.
I'm a real person, so I apologise if I sneeze.
Oh my God.
A bit of a going on.
We've had a really kind of crazy
it's been
week.
A traumatic week.
Oh, it has not. The drama.
The drama. No, we had a blackout, if you haven't heard. Pretty much the whole of Iberian Peninsula had a...
Plus other countries.
Plus other countries.
Yeah.
Had a blackout. Very interesting. Kind of makes everybody very, very equal.
Basically, the blackout affected all of Portugal, all of Spain, some of Germany, some of France, but it initiated in Spain.
Yep.
And I think Portugal and France pretty much got...
Holy crap!
Oh, you're human. Anyway, I think France and Germany were affected lesser so than Spain and Portugal. But essentially what it meant for us is that at about 11:30 here, AM, I was actually working on another podcast that I produced. I was literally uploading it to Spotify. And it started clocking. And then Mark is in the other room going, honey, did you lose wireless?
Yeah.
And I was like, weird. Wireless was out. And then
about 10 minutes later, it's like everything was out.
Yeah. The house went.
It'd be really interesting to see how much you rely on that one thing, electricity.
Oh, yeah.
It's just insanely obvious to say, but when you feel, and we only had 10 hours, I mean, God knows what it's like for people that have it.
I mean, I had many
weeks.
a blonde moment for those 10 hours, like trying to turn the freaking lights on.
I wouldn't say what your best blonde moment was, but anyway, we digress. It was a learning experience, teaching us that we did have multiple candles and we had some torches.
Those are
brackets, flashlights. We had food and all the rest of it. But yeah, it kind of, because you had no 5G even, no telecommunications or anything.
Right.
And so it makes you think, is something really, really bad going on behind somewhere that we don't know about yet?
Yeah.
So if that were to be the case, then let's just drink wine.
Well, I will say
this. You can't boil a kettle to make a cup of tea or coffee.
None of that.
So
None of it. And
wine.
It's those things that you don't really think about it. But you have food in your pantry. Mm. But what can you actually eat? Like, what is foods that are readily accessible that you don't have to use any electricity for? Right. Things like that. I mean, it wasn't a big deal. Again, I go back to this was not dramatic for us at all. I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking just because of the issue of not being able to connect to anybody, any news sources or anything like that. So in this day and age, you're like, is this something bigger than just a power outage?
It does take me back to when I would go hiking in Scotland and other places, and I would have a wind-up transistor radio, literally a wind-up hand crank, so you could get an FM or an AM.
Sounds like something that, like, I don't know, a person who's 150.
It's like being prepared. But anyway, yes,
we're not as prepared as we could have been. That's what we learned from that.
Absolutely.
Then we went out. We met up with friends we went to go check on our friends. And ended up having a glass of wine with her. Yep. And then walked back home as the sun was going down, and we literally got back to the house and all along,
just go to bed.
All along the walk though, people were just chilling out. Yeah. They were all out. All the restaurants would still serve beer and wine until their machines and their card machines died on them. Yep. But if they had cash, you could still go and just buy a glass of wine or a Coke or whatever.
It was very interesting.
Chill.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see, and I've seen a lot more on sort of TikTok and Instagram stories and such like of people in different places that. There's a bunch of people got off a train in Spain and just started doing sort of yoga dancing and things like this.
Yoga dancing.
Well, whatever it was, I don't know. It's some sort of whatever. But it was just interesting to see that, how people cope, how you can cope.
And I'm sure not everybody acted that way, but our experience was that people were just chill.
Yeah. But I would also say this was only 10 hours for us. Yeah. And so I'm still very, very aware that when a tornado comes through or some other Mother Nature devastation occurs, and it's days, weeks,
months,
more.
Shout out to our Hurricane Helene in North Carolina.
I just don't know what I would do.
Yeah,
you know? Quite honestly, it's a very humbling place to be.
It is. But so we learned A, don't freak out. B, enjoy yourself.
C, have wine and beer on hand.
And D, we probably need more candles and flashlights or things that are more prepared. Maybe more items in the pantry that don't require cooking.
That would be a good one.
But we were very lucky, and all is well here. But it was, I mean, I keep hearing people call it the Great Portugal Blackout of 2025, and it's not just Portugal. So, but it is where we were. So it was. You know, it was interesting.
I feel very sorry for the people that were on the gondola in Porto that were stuck up there for 10 hours.
The cable car.
I feel sorry for people that were stuck in
elevators.
Lifts.
That's right.
All of those things. So,
crazy.
You know.
I'm glad we were home and not traveling and all the things. So thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to all those who weren't, but you survived, hopefully. So we're good.
Fingers crossed.
So this leads us to talk about what we had intended to talk about today, which was things that we've really learned, right? Yep. From moving abroad, and not about like language, culture differences, learning about the history of Portugal. I'm talking about things that we've learned about ourselves because we've done this thing. We've done this big thing of leaving our lives as they existed in the States and moved here to Portugal. So we thought we would talk through some of those.
Yes.
I'm sure we've talked through some of them before, but now sitting here 16 months in or whatever, I think it's a good look back. So what would you say are the things you have learned about yourself through moving abroad to Portugal?
For me, one of the biggest things is that I need structure. You know, I need to feel like I'm waking up, I'm doing something productive, something that is either generating income or generating a sense of worth, value for myself and or other people. You know, whether that's going to, not a 9-to-5 sit in an office.
Did you feel that way before?
No. And I think that's the thing. I think it's kind of morphed into how I feel now, because when we first landed, it was a case of, woohoo! We're
intentionally taking a mini break.
We're doing this and all the rest of it. But again, I think it just slowly arrived to me, and particularly this year, I think since we've been in the Algarve, because it is a much, much slower pace of life.
Yeah.
I think it's...
you're getting all the things you asked for.
It's enabled me to have everything I wanted. But is it everything I wanted? You know? And so...
Yeah.
I don't know. When we recently,
or is everything you need?
Right.
It is everything we've wanted.
Yes,
but it's funny to think about, like, you get what you ask for.
Yeah.
You know, and again, please do not think that we're trying to complain here, because we're not. We're just discussing all these things that happen for us when we have moved abroad. And so I feel very similarly. Like, I feel like this moving abroad and inevitably, like, purposefully taking a break, especially after being in corporate life for 25 years, basically. I mean, I think I got my first corporate job when I was in college. So that was I was like 18 or 19. So yeah, 25 years before we left. And you just don't realize how much it indoctrinates you to that life.
Yeah.
And so here, I feel like when we moved, and we decided to plan and take a clear kind of mini retirement break, sabbatical. whatever that looked like, knowing that this is not forever. Like, it will not be forever. People are calling it mini retirement now, taking a year, whatever you want to call it. But that was our plan, is that we are not done with our work lives, I don't think. No. It just may look very different. And so while we're in this period of the mini break, it has become very clear to me that, you said it too, my work for 25 years, whatever that looked like, and as much as I bitched about it and all the things, made me also have some sort of worth, or it was tied to it that way. And whether that's good or bad. And that's what I would like to chat about, because yes, it does make you feel productive, but is that fake productivity? Like, is it just this feeling that that has been a part of your life for so long that you've gotten used to it, and so you find your worth that way?
Yeah, we're all, say all in quotes, brought up in this particular way that if you work hard, that means that you have to work from sunrise to sunset. That's the definition of working hard.
Or if you work hard, you're a good person.
For one person, for one person, the definition of working hard for another person is maybe something different. I just think that when we came here with a view to get the F out of Dodge and all of its crap corporate stuff. And that we did. And we continue to do that. And we continue to very much enjoy that lifestyle of being able to pick and choose what we do, when we do it, and how we do it, and with who. But there are still, again, more so now that we're down in the Algarve, I feel that for me, there are more gaps now that I need to fill with something that makes me feel whole again.
Which doesn't necessarily equate to traditional work.
No, and that's always
income-driven anything.
Right, but that's always been my point, that I feel that I need something of structure now, whether that's going and volunteering or whether it's, whatever it might be. I just feel that I got everything I asked for, and I continue to have and be in that very fortunate position. But at the same time, I also feel I have much more to give and much more that I want to give, either freely or financially, whatever that looks like, but not to the point, I don't think, of working a 9 to 5 sitting in an office, unless it's a really, really cushy number.
Hey babe, how many times do you think that we rode the should we or shouldn't we move to Portugal roller coaster before we actually did it?
I don't know, maybe like 193 times.
Wouldn't it have been so cool if we had us during that time, to talk to?
Absolutely, I'd love talking to us.
Me too! So, we've decided we are going to be the us we needed for you guys. If you want to shoot the shit, ask us anything, or just get some real life perspective from our experience of moving from the US to Portugal, we are now opening up our calendar for one-on-one calls. We can also hook you up with some of our best legal, immigration, and tax partners who helped us along the way. You can choose a mini call for 30 minutes, or if you're talky-talky like me, an hour, and we'll hop on Zoom together to answer anything we can for you as you try to decide what's best for you in your potential move to Portugal. Book with us right now on our Stan store at stan.store/PortugalJunkies, and we'll see you there.
I just find it really frustrating to think of, and again, maybe this is because it's been an aha moment for me since we moved here. How much I bought into corporate culture because it's all I knew, really. And I look at other people who are entrepreneurial from a young age. Like, I am all about, the younger generations and what they're doing, because I feel like they have this creativity and confidence in a lot of ways that I wish that I had from a young perspective, to go out and kind of do this thing that's different, instead of taking the job that's safe. And then you're tied into it.
Because that's the way that your parents did it. Correct. That's the way that your friends are doing it. So everybody's following along like a bunch of ants.
Yes.
It's like sheepsville.
And it also, I think it also...
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. If that's what you want, enjoy, and you find a lot of satisfaction in, that's fine. Everybody's different.
Sure.
But, I just think that there are definitely different ways to live, survive, grow.
Well, let's take it back to worth, though. Like, I feel like sitting here there are many days where I feel like my worth is questionable. And I don't mean that dramatically. I guess what I'm saying is because of the lack of the structure and a typical job that we've been used to forever, it just feels like because that's not our current life,
what am I doing
that I
wrong?
question things like that. And I go, God, am I just, what am I contributing? What am I even work? And it's very hard to say that because I've always had worthiness issues, but this one's very apparent to me. Like, to me, this is a very clear connection because we have such a change in lifestyle than we were 2 years ago. And so many things are so much better, but that this one thing just does this to me. Like,
it's sitting there.
Why is it going, Meredith, God, you're unworthy. Why are you doing that? Why aren't you being more productive? Why aren't you getting up at 8:00 every morning and going for a run? Why aren't you doing, it's like this thing that won't like get out of my head. And I'm like,
well, I'm sorry that I was that thing on your shoulder.
I don't know. I just find it a really interesting topic of conversation that it's something that I feel like has been revealed to both of us through this move.
Yeah.
And I'm not sad about it. I just want to dig into it a little bit more and figure out what's that all about. And then what do you do with that? Like literally, what do you do with that feeling?
I don't know. I mean, again, look, some of the things I thoroughly enjoyed doing back in the UK and in the States and all the rest of it, do I want to look at volunteering opportunities?
But what will that solve? This is my true question.
I think that would help.
You feel like you're a contributor?
It would help tie up some ability to have structure. It would definitely give me a sense of worth because you're doing something for free for someone else. Whether it's the
cleanup,
the
beach
dog
cleanup or the dog rescue.
There's town and beach cleanups on a weekly basis and things like this. All of which cost nothing but a bit of time. And I think maybe that's something that I need to dig into more because that's definitely a worth issue for me. And a work issue for me is how do I have structure? How do I find something that I maybe want to do part-time that generates something? But I do stuff part-time that generates stuff with the itineraries and bits and pieces. And I love that.
Yeah.
So again, that element of work brings me a lot of joy and brings me a lot of what I feel worth. I think there's definitely these gaps for me.
And I think too, maybe the potential solve here is that, you create structure doing those things that you actually love, not revert back to the safe 9-to-5 type of world, which we've always left open as an option for us once we got here.
Yeah.
But as we are so privileged to sit here and have the time to really think about what we want our lives to be like next, right? In this next phase, now that we've done the move and we're here and we love this place, like you can't help. We've always been people that are like, what's next? Like, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
I don't want that to come across as never satisfied.
No, but I think it's a healthy, it's an excitement about life of what's next and what will the next thing and this next decision that we make together or individually do for our lives to enhance our lives. Yeah. That's the whole point of living, right?
Listen, when we moved to Portugal not knowing a bit of Portuguese, I was so nervous about a lot of things. But the visa process was the most nerve-wracking, including the part where, you sign a legal document like a lease when you don't even know how to read the language. So we were referred to our lawyer, João Pinto, to get some help with translating, interpreting, and negotiating our lease in Porto. And he was so awesome that we've decided to keep him. But now, that one simple task that he helped us with has opened opened our eyes to everything that he does. He specializes in helping Americans move to Portugal, the entire visa process, and even buying a home here. We did our visa process all on our own, and now looking back, part of me really wishes that we had known Joao then and all that he could have helped us with to navigate the sometimes crazy path to get here. Good news for you though, he's graciously offered our listeners a free consultation call and a 10% discount. So, if you're looking for a trusted certified lawyer in Portugal to help you with your move to Portugal before, during, or after, we highly recommend Joao. He's super responsive, so smart, and a great communicator. Head over to our social media accounts on Instagram or TikTok. Access our stand store in the bio, and you can download Joao's list of services for free and schedule your free call and get 10% off. Cheers, y'all!
I don't know. I just find it really interesting. I hope that this is a topic that we can get some good interaction with the audience about, because I feel like I feel like it could very well resonate with many people, especially if you have experienced something similar, even if it's not moving abroad that opened your eyes to that. But like, you know, when you realize that your job, your profession, your corporate gig or not, you know, why is that so tied to our worth sometimes? Is it not just enough that we exist? Is it not just enough?
Ooh.
No, seriously.
Yeah, that was a deep question.
Is it not true that we don't need any action, job, validation to really determine our worth as human beings? We just do that to ourselves. Somehow along the way, we've learned that. And I hate it. I don't like it because first of all, it makes me mad that I would ever question my worth tied to a number, an income, a job, or whatever. It's one thing, like your example of wanting to contribute to society in a different way.
Yeah.
To feel like you're giving back. That's, to me, I totally get that correlation. But like, you know, whether I get up at 8 o'clock and go to a traditional job every day should not make me feel good or bad about myself. Period.
Okay.
Not either way,
okay.
But it does. There are days when I'm like, I'm not doing enough. What is enough? Like, I don't know the answer to that.
Again, deep question, deep hole to go down. No, it is. I mean, well, to me it is. And I think getting, you know, for what you just said, getting up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, going to a fixed job, a fixed place of work, that both brings me dread and would bring me excitement because it allows that structure, which is the thing that I miss. Okay. But it's, I guess it's just...
I wouldn't say yes to that.
No, I know you wouldn't. That's been very clear from, like, even before we got here.
I put my 25 years in. I'm going to figure something else out.
Well, I did a few extra than you because I'm a gazillion years older than you. But it's, I don't know, I just think that, not that things need to change, but I just feel that by changing one or two little bits strategically is going to make me feel personally more at ease with myself and comfortable with how I run my day and how we run our week.
But more worthy?
Yeah, more worthy.
Of what?
I don't know, maybe how I'm seen by other people.
Now we're getting
because that's always been a trait of mine.
True.
As you've said to me several 100,000 times. You know, and that's fine.
Maybe these podcasts should like evolve into me, like,
oh my God, like
therapizing my own husband in public.
Right, I will just say this: we have neither the battery life on the camera nor the SD card gig to support one episode of
nor
that.
The crayons.
Nor the crayons. I have neither the crayons nor the paper to explain this to you.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely more to come. And I think it's another subject that in a couple of months' time, we should probably revisit and see
what we
did we actually do anything about 100%. It or jack shit?
And I would love, as a call for the listeners here to send us a note, put a comment in. Like, if this resonates with you, I want to know about it, because I feel like this is a topic that I would love to start really digging into and really thinking about more. And I do that in community with people. So,
and I would also say this, that if you're thinking of moving abroad, be it Portugal specifically or anywhere else in the world, I can't answer for that. But I just think that you can concentrate so much on the visa move, the actual black and white logistics of how do I do this? How do I achieve that? Where do I get this form from? That sometimes it's so easy to actually forget this sort of topic. And I think it's so important. We spoke about it before we moved, because we knew that we were going to drop our jobs, and we were going to be here without, and we were going to do things to fill in, and we were going to semi-retire, and we were going to do that. And that's absolutely fine, because that's how it's worked out. And now we're seeing that we want to maybe have some other actions in play. Yeah. But I would just say that it is definitely worth conversation, whether you're married, with kids, without kids, whatever the dynamic is. It's definitely worth having some of these deeper conversations before.
Sure, but you only know so much.
No, absolutely.
Until you actually do the thing.
Right, but you still have to have some open dialogue about all of these other things.
What happens if?
That are outside of the black and white to-do list bubble.
Yeah. And I also think that you just sometimes don't know until you experience it and you learn more about yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's what the beauty has been about this move for us. It can be completely unexpected things that you learn about yourself.
Yep.
I can tell you on another topic, I feel more courageous now in my life than I ever have. 100% because of this move that we've made. Right. It doesn't mean that I'm never scared of things. It just means that I'm more willing to give it a go, as my hubby says. I'm willing to give it a go and see if it works.
Absolutely.
Whatever that is. I mean, it could be something really small, or it could be like a life decision, because it's not going to be something that's irreversible. And life is literally about learning the things that you enjoy and don't, and taking the risks and feeling like you've, really lived and tried new things and put yourself out there. And I definitely feel more courageous sitting here today than I did even 2 years ago.
Yeah. And if you don't do these things, you'll never know.
I don't know. Maybe this is a whole other topic, but I do feel like being scared of fucking things up in your life is a fast way to have a really boring life.
Oh, absolutely.
Period.
Well, think about it. If we didn't have the courage to do what we did, to move here, drop everything, leave family, friends, home, jobs, all the rest of it, if we hadn't have had the courage to do that, what would our life look like now?
It would probably be the same. Right.
So different.
I would either be sitting in the same exact job, or I would have been conned into taking on a management role and being miserable in it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we chose this.
Oh, I would never look back on any of this experience as being the wrong choice for us.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever.
Never, ever, ever.
No.
Anyway, you guys let us know what you think. I know this is kind of a deeper topic, but I like these topics. I like this shit.
Yeah, I know. It's, for me, it's like
self-reflection is like my jam.
That's done. That's over. That's therapy 101 complete.
Stop it. I just feel like if let's have more conversations in the comments, or send a note at Portugal Junkies, all the things, portugaljunkies@gmail.com. I would love to understand what other people are feeling about this, especially other people who have either moved abroad or quit their jobs or are thinking about it, or you're sitting at home and you already realize this about your current job, and that's why it makes you miserable.
Yeah.
And then figuring it out. But anyway.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys next week.
We sure will.
And let's hope there's not another blackout this week.
Well, we've got enough wine, so
Cheers, y'all.
We're good.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us at Substack, TikTok, and Instagram at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!